Welcome back, Jovians. On the last Gundam video, we completed Jupiter's whole mobile suit lineup. Well, up until Ghost at least. Again, there's still X11, which I still haven't, touched yet because I still go through Dust, which, is a whole thing on its own. Whatever. We are done with that, alright? So now let's return to where we were before I started that series, right? It was the gym last time, if I remember correctly. So yeah, we're going back to the 1 Year War, time frame, right? Back to probably the most colorful era for mobile suits in terms of variety and such. You got so much suits, mobile suits is created within a year. How did they do that? Actually, I think I found an answer to that in a manga, but that could be a video for another time. Anyway, I'm going to try to return to how it was with my Gundam videos. Like I'm gonna, dial down the jokey parts a bit. Yeah, I want to return to how it was. It was more like a documentary. I'm gonna go back to that because because I feel like it'll be a weird tonal change. I mean, it was a probably weird tonal change from the gym video to the Jupiter video, but I want to go back to how it was because my first few videos, but for Gundam was documentary style, and for me to go back to that, I guess main series, I guess, and have a completely different tone, I think it'll be weird. So we're going back to the more toned, you know, tone style, I guess. But anyway, today I have chosen the Gyan, the mobile suit that Zeman oddly decided to pursue when Zeon came calling for the next generation mobile suit to counter the Earth Federation's new gym series, but more importantly, the Gundams. The company decided to essentially abandon what had given them their victory over Zeonic during the previous search for the next mainline mobile suit. They went down a path Zeonic had already shown to be infeasible with the goof. Let us now explore Zemat's rather odd decision to go down this path. Zemat had finally won over its longtime rival, Zeonic, with its new MS-09 Dom series of mobile suits. It was faster, more versatile, and better protected than Zeonic's goof. The Dom was a major threat to many of the EF's early and later mobile suits. The speed offered by the machine could easily overwhelm anything it encountered with relative ease, during the war and even beyond. Dom mobile suits still pose a major threat, even almost 20 years after the war had ended. However, not too long after the mobile suit had just entered mass production, the Principality's military had already called for its next mobile suit. While the Dom was a potent weapon system on its own, it was still not enough to turn the tide against the deteriorating front line, as not long after the Dom's introduction, the Earth Federation began the mass deployment of their wonder weapon, the Gym, with the ever-elusive and unstoppable White Devil leading the way. The next generation of mobile suits was intended to be Zeon's solution to turn the tide, slay the White Devil, and finally win the war. With the lights lit green, Zemat quickly began work developing their next machine following the stipulation outlined by the military. Supposedly, Colonel Makuve personally supervised the development of Zemat's new project. The company had been rumored to be closely tied to Cassilia Zabi, with many of their weapons seen used by units attached to her, such as one of their earliest deployments of DOMs, which were seen with the Black Tri-Stars, along with some members of the Midnight Fenrir team. Zemat was also partially responsible for the production of the Afrit, which were often seen piloted by Cassilia forces. Makuve himself received a unit which he had modified into the Nacht. The colonel had already seen and experienced the White Devil's capability on multiple occasions. He saw that the mobile suit had incredible close-range prowess, even better than the Goof's. Based on his observations, Makuve most likely was the one who directed Zemat to pursue a melee-oriented mobile suit with unmatched ability. He may have thought that just slaying the devil would be enough to reverse the course history was headed to. The Dom was still capable enough to pose a threat to the Gym, and MIP, another weapons manufacturer, had been working on a beam weapon system for the Dom. Once MIP had perfected that project, the Dom would be almost on par, if not better, than the Gym. Essentially, what Makuve was seeking was a knight whose only destiny was to slay the demon. With the concept established, development began. Potentially by using build and combat data from the Ifrit, Zemat put together its prototype, the YMS-15 Gyan. The Gyan could not be any further away from the Dom in terms of design. Where the Dom prioritizes speed and firepower, the Gyan instead focuses on agility and finesse. Either from pure coincidence or at the behest of Colonel Makuve, who is a known history enthusiast, the Gyan came about looking like a knight straight from a fantasy world. But these looks are not purely aesthetic. Some elements do have a function to them. Beginning with its cone-shaped head, this design actually solves a long-standing issue of almost all of Zemat mobile suits, their faceplate, or the lack of it. Even from their first proper mobile suit, the Zuda, to the GOG, to the current Dom, Zemat mobile suits have always featured an open design. While it gives the pilot an incredible wide field of view, most likely the biggest of all contemporary mobile suits, a design like this leaves the single optical camera inside exposed, making it incredibly easy for any enemies to damage or destroy this critical system. To remedy this, while also keeping their edge in optical sensors, designers created an extremely compact and completely new head to be placed inside a tall yet protected cone that allows the same, if not more, degrees of mono-eye rotation. The mono-eye camera had also been upgraded to a newer model capable of faster movements. The Gyan's horizontal axis provides a near 360-degree view of its surroundings, making it very unlikely for a threat to flank it successfully. It is incredibly critical for a close-range fighter to be aware of the direct surroundings. Supposedly, the Gyan shares the same internal frame as the Gelgoog. If true, this must be Zeon's attempt at creating a modular platform similar to that of the Gym. This may have also been a product from the United Maintenance Plan, of which mobile suits were to be constructed using interchangeable parts. The visual resemblance is somewhat evident, especially in the upper torso, where vents are located on the lower half of the chest protrusion on both mobile suits. However, the Gelgoog features significantly more vents. The Gyan's torso design differs in two major areas: the addition of a rear backpack and a unique fluid pulse accelerator system. While the Gyan does feature a backpack, it could be argued that it was a late addition to the model to give it basic space maneuvering capability. In fact, aside from the backpack, the Gyan has only 2 thrusters on its feet. When compared to the Dom models, in terms of speed, the Gyan is a huge downgrade. However, it makes up for that with its incredibly rapid agility. This fast movement is only possible due to the addition of a unique fluid pulse accelerator system. This accelerator stores excess fluid pressure that will be rapidly transmitted to the mobile suit's limbs when needed. It is due to this, and specifically built limb joints, that the Gyan can perform its instantaneous movements. While this important part is located in a very exposed location, the bulge there in the pelvic area, it is by design as a safety measure. To prevent a pressure backlash from part failure, the accelerator can be ejected. Yeah, the Gyan it cannot. It can and will not. The Gyan only carries 2 weapons, a beam saber and a shield. With nothing else to direct its power to, the mobile suit directs all excess reactor power to the beam saber, resulting in one of, if not the strongest beam sabers of the war. The emitted beam is visibly larger than its contemporaries. The amount of power flowing into the saber is also likely why the hilt is significantly bigger. The shield can provide some levels of protection, but functions mostly as a weapons platform. Inside, the shield carries around 60 needle missiles, which were essentially darts, and around 25 hide bombs. These projectiles, however, are mostly used for harassment or distractions as they lack any significant capability to inflict substantial damage. The Gyan's destructive power is poured entirely into its beam saber. Upon the completion of the prototype, and presumably after submitting it for the selection trials, it was quickly looked over in favor of the Gelgoog. The sheer versatility of the Gelgoog and its purported better general performance made it an easy decision for military leaders. Zimot's and Makuve's Demon Slayer Gambit had failed. MIP wasn't able to perfect the EXT-22 beam bazooka for the Dom in time. This failure completely erased Zeomot's hope of continuing to use the Dom as Zeon's frontline unit against the Gym tidal wave, which doomed the Gyan's purpose as a designated ace hunter. What Zeon needed at the time was an equal contemporary, and the Gelgoog showed and promised that need. But that is not the end of the Gyan. After the trials, Makuve was given the prototype to serve as his personal unit. After escaping the Battle of Solomon, the colonel attempted to destroy the pursuing White Devil and Trojan Horse. He planned to lure them into a trap around the Texas colony. When his pursuers arrived, the colonel lured them closer by using a contingent of rigged doms to steer the White Devil to him. Makuve was putting Zeomot's theory to the test by actually applying it during an operation, and, in a way, it succeeded. The rigged doms were able to funnel the Devil towards the Gyan, while also keeping its minions, the G-Fighter and the gun cannon, separated. Makuve first lured the Devil to an asteroid rigged to explode, before leading it inside the Texas colony. There, he engaged in a long duel with the Devil. Makuve isn't known for his piloting ability. The man was more of a scheming politician than a military officer. Yet, he was able to stand toe-to-toe with an unstoppable demon for a significant time. Even Shar Aznable, a decorated ace pilot, was surprised at Makuve's resiliency against the Devil. But this was very likely not a hidden skill Makuve had. It was instead the very mobile suit he piloted that allowed him to survive as long as he did. The Gyan, not being a versatile platform, meant that all of its systems could be focused on doing one thing and one thing only: complete melee dominance. It was equipped with specialized software dedicated to melee engagements. The kernel undoubtedly also included all the combat data Zeon had on a White Devil and entered it into the sophisticated system to create the optimal countermeasures. What Makuve essentially did during the duration of the duel was point where to attack, while the Gyan did everything else. The Gyan exhibited a unique fighting style that hadn't been seen in most, if not all, melee engagements. Instead of relying on a sword fighting style where a wielder would mostly swing, the Gyan, whether by design or at the behest of Makuve, in contrast, adopted a fencing style of swordsmanship. This fighting style allowed the Gyan to rapidly chain multiple thrusts, completely overwhelming an opponent's defense from pure speed with little to no ability to spot any telegraphing. Just one hit by the powerful beam would be all that is needed to destroy an opponent. But even with all these systems that made it as strong as it was, the core strength of every mobile suit will always be its pilot, and Makuve was just not the one. The White Devil eventually managed to gain the upper hand and slice the Gyan in half. Officially, only one Gyan had ever been built, but some sources counted at least 3. The other 2 Gyans were given to Cassilia, which were promptly further developed, with assistance from Zeon no less, into the YMS-15E Gyan EOS. With Zeonic designers not involved, the Gyan was transformed to something that may have been what the military was searching for during the trials. The EOS was fitted with the high mobility Gelgoog backpack to give it similar spatial mobility. Zeonic aimed to turn the Gyan into a versatile platform. This was mainly achieved by giving the mobile suit new weapons. Instead of channeling excess energy into a heat saber, the EOS carries a beam bayonet, a chopped down Gelgoog rifle with a small beam sword fitted at the tip. While not as powerful as the beam saber, the weapon's reach is similar, if not longer, while also being able to function as a ranged weapon. Since the EOS is not able to pose a ranged threat, the shield it carried was simplified into a normal shield, ridding it of the ineffective hide bombs and needle missiles. The EOS was undoubtedly a more balanced and better approach to the Gyan ethos. The idea of mass-producing this model was mauled, but Zeon was in no position to do so at that point in the war. The two EOSes were subsequently only given honor guard duties, serving as Caecilia's personal guard for the rest of the war. One model actually survived the war, with it resurfacing 11 years later in the hands of the Federation Survey Service during the search for the Sangre Azul. There was also at least one other Gyan that was active during the 1-year war. This Gyan was actually built from spare parts meant for the original prototype, which means that it was not considered an official model. This specific unit was piloted by Jill Jagra, a Zeon spy who operated with Nimbus Shatterson to uncover the secrets of the exam system. She later had her unit modified with spare Earth Federation parts, installing extra thrusters, significantly improving its spatial maneuverability. She later used this unit to trick a Federation recon element for destroying them. This is like the only fight in quotation marks we ever see it with, because the manga, the Blue Destiny manga, the remake one, apparently it's in what do you call it? It's on hiatus. I don't know. Apparently it's on hiatus and it hasn't been continued for a while. I think the final chapter, or one of the final chapters, we would see it. We should see it fight against one of the gyms that follow you. So you know, it might have more, you know, weapons or details or abilities than what we have of it right now. But as of for right now, this Gyan is just a Gyan. It's just a Gyan, really. That's it. While the design failed as a whole, it did inspire or directly contribute to the development of future mobile suits. Both Gyan and Gelgoog were used as the basis for the Galbaldi Alpha. The Zuda F used parts from the Gyan to mend the issue of the Saturn engine. Axis Zeon's R Yarga was heavily inspired by the Gyan, and far later in UC-120, Mars Zeon's Oldsmobile army fielded some rare RF Gyans, mobile suits directly based on the original prototype. There's also the Ghoul. It doesn't say specifically that it's based on the Gyan, but I mean, just look at it, dude. It's got the shield with missiles in it. Half of its lower part of its head looks similar. It's got the same backpack. It's got the backpack with the two thrusters at the back. It's apparently created by Zmod. And yeah, but just look at it. I'd be surprised if the Gyan was not used as some kind of, you know, basis for the what do you call it, the Ghoul. The Ghoul is so cool. I love it in GBO too. I wish I could tell you more about it, but it's from a novel, and I don't think there's an English version of the novel. I'm not buying an original Japanese novel and trying to read it through Google Lens. You know how slow that will be? It'll be incredibly slow. But based on the wiki, apparently you need to be drugged up or something. You need to be. It's basically, I don't know if you need to chop your limbs off, or if it's like Psycho Zaku and Thunderbolt or whatever, but from, what do you call that? From the wiki, it says you need to have some kind of body modifications to be able to pilot this thing, because it's crazy. It looks cool. I love it though. In GBO 2, I love it. But somewhere out there in the infinite space-time continuum exists a world where it wasn't a failure, where the Gyan became Zeon's next mainstay mobile suit, where its history continued beyond the 1-year war. But that is a story for another time. And there we go with the Gyan. You know what? To be completely honest, I never liked this. Like, up until recently, I never really liked this, because, I mean, look at it. It looks pretty special, to say the least. But I think it's just down to the art style, because the Jill Jagra Gyan, that looks cool as hell. Did I say lick? That looks cool as hell. Like, it's very sharp. Like the eyes isn't like gigantic, like big and all that. It's like, yeah, it's just sharp. It looks like proper like knight's armor. So I think it's just down to the art styles why I didn't like the Gyan in the the original one. Excuse me, I'm recovering from a sickness, so Yeah, if I sound different, nasally, whatever, I'm literally just coming, what do you call it, out of sickness as I'm recording this. So, but yeah, I do want to see more of the Gyan though. I think it's underutilized. It's a cool idea. I think it's a cool idea that they probably could build on with, like, multiple crazy variants or whatever, Zeon remnants. I guess it is a prototype, but again, there's the ghoul isn't specifically, it doesn't specifically say it's from the Gyan. But again, just look at it. It's pretty similar. But yeah, I guess you won't be able to see that since it's a prototype. So like one off or two, three off prototype, I guess, with spare parts enough to build another suit. Wish it was possible for that to happen, but maybe not. But yeah, that's the Gyan. Uh, Going back to the old format. Hopefully, this is you like this. Which format do you like the most? Like this, like old, more formal documentary style, the one from the Jupiter videos are a lot more, hyper, or jokey or whatever, not as documentary style. Do tell me. Oh god, I need to end this now before I just cough my lungs out. Anyway, that's that for this week's briefing of pilots. Thanks for joining. If you'd like to see more, you could always join the fleet and press the sub button. All right, you'll be a pilot immediately. You'll be a pilot and shove into your own mech, so we could fight the Earth noise. All right, but if you're not willing to do that, right, if you're scared to fight the Earth noise, completely understandable. You can just click the like button or maybe the hype button if that is available to you. Right, push this out the algorithm so we can attract braver people than you are to join the fleet, and fight the pilot. The Earth people, freaking Earth people, man, they poisoned me. This is why I'm sick. They poisoned me. Coward's weapon. They poisoned the colony. Everyone is sick now. Those cowardly Earthnoids. Hate them so much. I got a Discord. You can join there if you want to talk to me, or my X. I got X now, a Twitter, which surprisingly kind of fun to use. I didn't think I was gonna have much fun with it, but it's surprisingly fun. You can go there, or you can follow me there, or join the the Discord if you want to talk to me more off screen or whatever. Also, this was I wanted to do a Votom's video for this week. This, oh my god, I'm coughing so much. This was supposed to be a Votom's video, but Votoms unfortunately don't have that much, source books. I guess they don't have as many sources compared to Gundams in terms of like source books or mangas and all that. They got a PS2 game, which does explain some things. I could probably do something with that. But I'm gonna have to unlock all the suits first, which I haven't, which is annoying because some of the missions are hard. But anyway, I stream my game my simulations. What do you call that? Sessions, my training simulator sessions. All right, you can join me there live. You can learn, watch me, train, learn what, watch me. But yeah, watch me train and learn from my mistakes so you can apply that to your own skill sets. I had to go now before I actually die. Glory to the colony. Take care. Keep on the good fight. Fight those Earth Noids. And remember, don't die.